The arena was massive, stretching far wider than anyone could imagine. Towering metal walls encircled the battleground, gleaming under harsh artificial lights that reflected off the polished floor. Smoke curled in the air, thick and choking, as if the arena itself had a heartbeat. Thousands of alien spectators filled the stands, their eyes glowing in colors no human had names for, their claws or tentacles tapping in anticipation. They had come for one thing, blood sport. And today, they would watch a human fight for her life. In the center of the arena, the human girl stood alone. She was small, far smaller than the hulking aliens surrounding her, but there was a fire in her eyes that seemed to burn brighter than the lights above. Her hair, tangled and streaked with dirt, clung to her face, but she did not care. Her breathing was steady, controlled. She had trained for this, not in the way these aliens trained, not with brute strength or sharp claws, but with something far more dangerous: thinking ahead. Her mind was a weapon as much as her hands. 8 gladiators waited for her, each one a terrifying vision of alien power. One had 4 arms tipped with curved blades, moving almost too fast to see. Another was a massive brute with scales as thick as armor, eyes like burning coals, and a roar that made the ground tremble. A third slithered on long, segmented legs, its spiked tail clicking ominously. Each of them had fought humans before and had never lost. They were confident, arrogant, and certain of victory. The arena announcer's voice thundered across the field. "Hour 1 begins. 8 opponents, 1 human. Let the games commence." At that signal, the 8 aliens lunged, a coordinated wave of teeth, claws, and blades. The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices mixing into a deafening roar. But the girl did not panic. She had no fear in her heart, only awareness. Every movement the aliens made, every twitch of a limb, she read it instantly. She dodged the first strike with a roll, feeling the whoosh of claws mere inches from her face. She twisted, using the momentum to push one attacker into the path of another, letting them collide with each other. It was not brute force that won the fight. It was speed, intelligence, and timing. When one alien swung a massive arm, she grabbed a fallen piece of armor and deflected it back, hitting another gladiator in the head. When a second tried to bite, she dodged low, swept its legs out from under it, and sent it sprawling. The fight was a blur. The aliens were strong, but they underestimated her. They had trained their whole lives to fight enemies who followed predictable patterns. Humans did not follow patterns. Humans adapted. Humans learned. As the minutes passed, the arena floor became a scene of chaos. Sparks flew where weapons scraped metal. Smoke twisted around bodies and shattered weapons. The humans' movements were fluid, almost dance-like, and yet deadly. One alien attempted to grab her from behind, but she twisted sharply, grabbed its arm, and used its own strength to hurl it across the arena. Another tried to stab with a long spear, only for her to duck and shove the alien forward into a wall. She moved with precision, always calculating 3 steps ahead. The audience watched, first in disbelief, then in fascination. Even the alien spectators began to murmur among themselves. This human, this fragile, tiny girl was not what they expected. Blood and sweat streaked her face. Her breathing was steady, but every muscle in her body ached from constant motion. The aliens were relentless, their attacks faster, more desperate, more vicious as each one fell. She knew that if she hesitated for even a second, it could be the last. But she did not falter. Her mind stayed sharp. Her body moved like it was one with the battlefield. She used the arena itself to her advantage, slamming aliens into walls, ducking behind columns, and even using the metal flooring to skid past attacks and redirect blows back at her opponents. One by one, the gladiators fell. First, the slithering one, its tail wrapped around a pillar and crushing it in her clever maneuver. Then the four-armed alien tricked into striking the ground and stumbling into the path of another. The massive brute fell last, cornered against a wall, its strength no match for her cunning. 8 aliens, all of them killers, all of them feared across the galaxy, and all of them dead. The arena was silent for a moment, the smoke curling higher, the lights flickering as if in awe of the scene. The human girl stood in the center, her chest rising and falling, her fists clenched, her body bruised but unbroken. The guards stationed around the arena did not move. They had been trained to intervene if the fight became dangerous, but none dared step in. Every one of them had faced the aliens before. They knew what they were capable of. And now they had seen a human girl overcome them. Their fear rooted them to the spot. She had done what no human before her could. She had survived, and she had triumphed without help, without backup. She looked at the gates of the arena, her eyes calm and focused. Her body was tired, every movement a strain, but she felt alive in a way that was sharp and electric. She had not only survived, but dominated. The crowd, unsure what to make of this, erupted into a mix of cheers and shocked silence. Somewhere deep inside her, she felt a flicker of pride. This was only the beginning. The announcer's voice returned, trembling slightly this time. Hour 1 complete. The human has succeeded. Prepare for Hour 2. She wiped the sweat from her brow and tightened her grip on her makeshift weapons. She had learned one truth in the arena. Fear could be a weapon, but so could courage. And she had plenty of both. She turned toward the gate, ready for what came next, knowing that the universe had just seen the strength of humanity small, underestimated, and unstoppable. Commander Kale sat in the bridge of the human flagship, his eyes fixed on the holographic display of the Dominion fleet. The stars beyond the reinforced windows stretched endlessly, cold and distant, but they were filled with danger. The Xylar Dominion controlled almost every system in the Outer Rim, their fleets enormous, their weapons deadly. For years, humanity had been on the run, forced to hide, fight in small skirmishes, and save what they could from the Dominion's raids. But now, Kale had a plan, desperate as it was. They would strike the Dominion's flagship, the nerve center of the Empire, and show the galaxy that humans were not prey. Humans were fighters. Humans were dangerous. The fleet surged forward, engines glowing like molten silver against the darkness of space. Around him, human pilots adjusted their thrusters, checked their shields, and exchanged tense glances. Every one of them knew the odds were almost impossible, but the hope of freeing the captives and the knowledge that one human girl had survived the arena kept them moving. Kale had seen her fight on the feed from the arena. She was small, young, and human, yet she had taken down 8 of the Dominion's deadliest gladiators without hesitation. That girl was a spark, and Kale hoped the rest of humanity could be the fire dot as they approached the Dominion flagship. The vastness of the enemy fleet became clear. Hundreds of ships formed a wall of metal and fire, bristling with turrets and energy cannons. Missiles streaked through the void and laser beams tore through the emptiness, carving trails of light. The human fleet had to move carefully. A single mistake, a single miscalculation, and they would be annihilated before they could reach their target. Kale barked orders, his voice calm but firm, cutting through the tension of the bridge. Fighters, take the flanks. Bombers, stay tight. We draw their fire while we hit the flagship shields. Remember your training. Trust each other. Survive. The battle erupted like a storm. Energy bolts crisscrossed the darkness of space, painting the void with blue and red flashes. Human fighters twisted and rolled, dodging beams and retaliating with precise strikes. Bombers dove through gaps in the Dominion's formation, releasing their payloads on enemy vessels. The flagship shields glowed, absorbing the hits, but cracks began to appear. Kale's heart raced as the flagship's automated weapons targeted them. One of the human ships exploded in a ball of fire, and another narrowly avoided a collision with debris from a destroyed cruiser. Fear and adrenaline mingled in the air, but Kale pushed it aside. This was survival, this was war, and this was humanity proving itself. Back on the arena planet, the girl in the ruined arena felt the vibrations through the ground. The walls shook, dust falling from the ceiling, and she realized something incredible. Humans were fighting back. Explosions echoed through the city streets beyond the arena, distant but unmistakable. Ships streaked across the sky, leaving trails of fire. The Dominion's grip, thought unbreakable, was faltering. Her small chest rose and fell with excitement. She understood what was happening. The humans were not giving up. They were hitting back with everything they had. Inside the arena, the last of the gladiators stirred. Its massive form, scarred from the previous fights, eyed her with a mixture of curiosity and anger. It had seen her take down the others, it had felt her cunning, and now it understood she was no ordinary human. It lunged, moving faster than before, swinging a claw tipped with jagged metal. She dodged, rolling across the floor, narrowly avoiding a strike that could have ended her life. Every second in this fight was a test of instinct and intelligence. Every move had to be precise. One wrong step, one hesitation, and it would be over. Kale watched the flagship's shields flicker. Another direct hit and they might break through. He gave the order to release the final wave of decoys, small drones that emitted energy signatures identical to human ships. The Dominion ships swerved, firing at the wrong targets, and for a moment the human fleet gained an advantage. Bombers dived straight for the flagship, dodging enemy fire with split-second timing. Missiles tore through the flagship's outer defenses, setting off explosions that rattled the hull. The entire fleet seemed to vibrate with energy, the soundless thunder of battle in the void of space. On the ground, the girl in the arena realized she could use the moment. The arena's structure, designed to trap humans, now worked to her advantage. She darted behind columns, vaulted over debris, and used the arena's energy gates as weapons. Sparks flew as she directed energy beams at the gladiator, forcing it to stumble. The fight was brutal, exhausting, but she had trained for endurance. Her mind stayed sharp, her body reacting faster than any alien could predict. She felt a strange sense of unity with the humans fighting above her. Somehow, through the chaos and destruction, their victories gave her strength. Kale's fleet pushed forward, now in striking range. The flagship shook violently as the human ships hit it with everything they had. Cannons fired in concentrated bursts, shields flickering and failing. Human pilots danced through deadly barrages, weaving through beams of light that could cut a ship in half. The flagship's automated weapons began to overheat from the concentrated attacks. Kale allowed himself a small smile. Humanity was small, yes. Outnumbered, yes. But clever, courageous, and unstoppable when it mattered. Back in the arena, the final gladiator roared in frustration, its claws swiping wildly. The girl ducked, rolled, and grabbed a piece of shattered energy conduit. She thrusted forward, sending a surge of electricity into the alien. The gladiator convulsed, staggering backward, and the arena floor shook. She had turned the environment into a weapon, proving that even the smallest human could control the battlefield. Every instinct, every move, every small advantage mattered. And right now, she had the upper hand. The battle in space reached a climax. Kale's flagship took one final hit to its shields, then exploded outward in a controlled detonation as the human fleet pulled back. The Dominion flagship was crippled, its command network in chaos. Human ships dove in, rescuing captured colonies and civilians wherever they could. Victory was not complete, but it was proof. Proof that humans could face impossible odds and still fight, survive, and win. In the arena, the gladiator fell to the floor, its massive body twitching as the girl stood over it. The vibrations from the battles above still shook the walls, dust raining down. She took a deep breath, wiped the sweat from her brow, and looked at the ruined arena around her. She had survived the deadliest fight of her life, and humanity had struck back across the stars. This was just the beginning. She knew the next hour would be even harder. The battles were not over, and the universe was vast, full of danger. But she had seen what humans could do above, below, and everywhere in between. Small, underestimated, and relentless. Humanity fought. Humanity adapted. Humanity survived. And that meant the girl, and all humans, had a chance. The arena had become a wasteland of smoke, dust, and twisted metal. The floor was scorched and cracked from the fights, and the walls bore deep gashes from the claws and weapons of the gladiators. The girl stood in the center, her body battered and bruised, sweat and blood mixing in streaks across her skin. Her chest rose and fell steadily, her eyes sharp and alert. The 8 gladiators she had already defeated lay scattered around her, motionless, and only one remained. It was the largest, strongest, and most dangerous of them all, a creature the size of a small building. With muscles like coiled steel, claws capable of slicing through armor, and eyes glowing red like molten metal. It towered over her, and the ground shook with every step it took. She did not flinch. She had learned from the other fights. Speed alone would not win this battle, nor brute strength. She needed to outthink it, to anticipate its moves, and to turn the arena itself into her weapon. The gladiator roared, a deep, bone-shaking sound, and charged. Dust and debris flew as it slammed into the floor, and the girl rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding a claw that could have ended her life. Sparks flew as its claws scraped along the metal floor, and she felt the vibrations under her feet, every step warning her of the power she faced. She darted between the broken pillars of the arena, using them for cover. Her mind raced. She observed how the gladiator attacked, the timing of its swings, the way it lunged and retracted. She noticed the slight delay before it struck after a roar, the way its left claw moved slightly slower than the right. She began to use this knowledge, baiting it into attacks and dodging at the last second, causing it to stumble into walls, pillars, and debris. Every movement she made was calculated. Every dodge and leap was a small victory. Above, the soundless battle in space raged. Kale's fleet had crippled the Dominion flagship, but enemy fighters continued to swarm, trying to retake control. The girl could feel the energy from the explosions vibrating through the planet, through the arena, reminding her she was not alone. Humanity was fighting alongside her, striking fear into the Dominion across the stars. She drew courage from it, knowing that her struggle in this arena was connected to a larger war. Every victory she earned here was another spark for humanity's fire. The gladiator grew angrier with each missed attack, its movements becoming more frenzied, more powerful. It lashed out with claws, swung its massive arms, and stomped the floor, trying to crush her. She ducked, rolled, and vaulted over debris, narrowly avoiding death several times. She knew she could not rely on speed alone. She needed an idea, something the Dominion never expected. Her eyes scanned the arena, looking for anything she could use. That's when she saw the energy gates, the same gates that had trapped humans for years, glowing faintly with residual power. She ran toward one, dodging a swipe that sent sparks flying past her face. With a swift movement, she rigged the gate to release a pulse of plasma. It would not destroy the gladiator outright, but it could stun it long enough to create an opening. The creature lunged at her just as she activated the charge. A massive arc of energy shot out, striking the gladiator and causing it to roar in pain and anger. Sparks and smoke filled the air, and the creature staggered back, dazed. She took a deep breath, knowing this was her moment. She darted forward, rolling under its massive arm, and struck with everything she had. Her fists and feet became weapons, aiming for joints, eyes, and weak spots in its armor. Each hit was precise, calculated, and powerful. The gladiator's roars echoed off the walls, mixing with the faint sound of explosions from the distant space battle. Dust and sparks filled the air, making it hard to see, but she kept moving, using every ounce of her energy and skill. The arena itself seemed alive with tension, as if the walls were holding their breath. She dodged a massive claw, leapt over a collapsing pillar, and grabbed a jagged piece of metal from the floor, using it to pierce the creature's armor. The gladiator staggered, its movements slowing. She pressed her advantage, striking, kicking, and rolling, refusing to give it even a moment to recover. Kale watched from orbit as the girl moved with unmatched precision and courage. He knew that this small human had done what the entire fleet could not stand against impossible odds and survive. Her fight was not only physical. It was mental, emotional, and strategic. Every choice mattered. Every instinct was tested. And yet, she did not falter. The gladiator, realizing it was losing, made one final desperate attack. It charged, its claws raised high, its roar deafening even through the reinforced arena walls. The girl met it head-on, using the momentum of its attack to sidestep and push it toward the edge of the arena platform. Sparks flew as metal scraped metal, the creature thrashing in anger and frustration. She delivered a final, precise strike to a joint, toppling the beast. It crashed to the ground with a deafening impact, sending a shockwave through the arena. Dust fell from the ceiling, and the room seemed to hold its breath for a moment before silence returned. The girl stood over the fallen gladiator, breathing heavily, bruised and cut, but alive. She had faced the deadliest creature in the arena and survived. She had used not only her body but her mind, turning fear and disadvantage into strength. She looked at the sky above, where human ships now hovered triumphantly, and knew that her fight had become a symbol of humanity's courage. Humanity was small, fragile, and underestimated, yet capable of incredible feats. They could survive, adapt, and overcome even the most impossible odds. The arena doors creaked open, and Kale landed a shuttle nearby. The girl stepped forward, her body trembling with exhaustion, but her eyes burning with resolve. "You did it," he said quietly. "We're taking the fight to them, together." She nodded, understanding that this victory was only the beginning. Humanity had struck a blow, and the fire of resistance would spread out as she climbed aboard the shuttle. She took one last look at the ruined arena. It was a place of death, fear, and cruelty, but it had also become a place of triumph. She had survived what no one else could, and in doing so had shown that humans were not just prey in the galaxy. They were fighters, survivors, innovators. The girl realized that even in the face of overwhelming odds, humans could rise, adapt, and endure. The shuttle lifted off, leaving the arena behind. Dust and smoke rose into the sky, and distant explosions marked the continued battle in orbit. The girl looked out the window at the stars, knowing that this war was far from over. But humanity had proven something important. They were not weak, they were not helpless, and they would never give up. The universe had underestimated them for the last time. In that moment, she felt a surge of hope, pride, and determination. She was small, but she was human, and that was enough. The hour of humanity had begun, and no alien empire, no gladiator, no weapon could stop them. They had the courage, the intelligence, and the will to survive, and they would not stop fighting until the galaxy knew it.